Last week, I started off by saying, it's fine. It's fine, calm, be calm, relax. I'm so glad I don't have to do a pod for a little bit. We have a little bit of time before the next pod. I'm so glad that no other reactions are coming out right now because there's no other games for the other people to react to. Because this, my goodness, this is horrible. I think when I was Brentford away, 1-1. That is okay to drop points in, given it's a hard place to go. They're on a really good run of form. I think in terms of the form table or something in the past, let's say 12 games they were second or something like that, some sort of arbitrary or some sort of stat like that. So they're on a good run of form, so it's okay, right? It's like when we drew to Chelsea or when you draw to Sunderland. The way the Premier League is right now, it's not like how it was it's not like how it was 2-3 years ago where, or not 2-3 years ago, but like maybe 4 or 5 years ago where Liverpool and City are winning every game. That the teams are at the bottom half of the table, maybe up until 10th, are less competitive, and it's kind of really only the big 4 to 6 games that you have to be worried about in terms of the opposition having real quality. I mean, even then, they still have weaknesses. I mean, Arsenal were a big six team and consistently finishing in the top six positions, but we had people like Socrates and Bellerin and these type of guys starting for us, right? Mustafi starting for us. David Luiz, although he was during our period where we were 8th and 8th, but still. It's not like that anymore. So those draws aren't the worst draws in the world because you can win the league on 87 points, 85 points. So going away from home, notoriously, sometimes at a tough ground, just draw, right? If you can't lose, if you can't win, that's fine. Sometimes away from home, you just don't get it done. Make sure you get everything done at home and draw away from home when it comes to the big games. That's fine, that happens. But brother, this game, sorry, is this game is different. This game is, I can't put a positive spin on it. I mean, like in most of these games throughout this run, in most of these games where you've dropped points, 2 wins from 7, you're able to contextualize a little bit. Okay, this is our blip. It's fine. It happens. This is a tough away ground. Okay, it happens. But now 2 wins from 7, basically matching what City did to get us to get us 6-7 points clear, 6-7 points clear in the first place, right? Um, they went 1 win from 6, and we should have then went on a crazy streak and should have, been 10 to 12 points clear. We go on our own run now, and now we'll be back. Well, it's 5 points, but they have a game in hand. Realistically, we can just look at it as 2 points. So that's the bigger picture. The bigger picture in terms of how I was feeling previously, and now how that kind of gets all thrown out the window because, like I just said, it will be 2 points most likely. Let's say 5 for now. 5 points with the game in hand because we drop points to Wolves, and we're now 2 wins in 7, and this isn't looking like a small blip that we have every year kind of thing where we go 3 games without a win. This is looking like a bigger blip that genuinely, when I'm watching the games, is concerning. Today I wish, obviously I didn't, there's no proof, and I'm by myself at this apartment, so there is literally no proof. No one to back me up or anything, but I was raging from 2-0 to 2-1. Right when it hit 2-1, I was angry because 2-0 Hincapi scored. First of all, let's just break down the game now. It's 4.5 minutes. We should just break down the game, right? I kind of gave overall context, but let's just break down the game now. We start off the game really well. Rice, we're knocking on the door already from the start off quick, which is the first time in a while. Rice to Saka, amazing ball from Rice. We know he can whip those in from the half spaces. We know he can whip those in general. This guy's an amazing crosser. And Saka just taps it in, and Saka, running off the striker into like that late, like making like a late run into the box type of thing. That's good. That's what we want to tend to do. Odegaard doesn't do it. Eze really hasn't been doing it. Saka did it. Great. But after the first goal, we had maybe up until the 30th minute mark where was it Martinelli that started beefing Mosquera. It just went downhill. It started becoming competitive and started becoming scrappy. And I was thinking, brother, we're not. This isn't Chelsea. This isn't United. This isn't a good team. This is Wolves. What are we doing here? This is Wolves. And yeah, from then I was just like, I was upset a little bit because I'm thinking in my head, first of all, we're not controlling this game. Right now it's back and forth, back and forth. It's looking more more focus on duels. It's they're kind of throwing it long, and Saliba's not, they kind of have a striker, like a threat. I don't remember his name, the big dude. I forgot his name, but he came on because of Gomez's injury, I believe. I honestly, I don't remember his name. My head's too hot to remember. And they're just throwing it long, and now it's becoming combative, and you're thinking, okay, you know what, this is not the way I want this game to go. Or you're thinking, okay, you know what, 1-0, we go into halftime. They really haven't done anything. It's just been, they had a little wave where we've kind of been sloppy technically. Okay. Then, second half. Oh, light just died. Second half comes, and it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. We're having 10 minutes, 15 minutes where they're the ones kind of knocking on the door, and I'm thinking in my head, what are we doing here? Right? We're 1-0 up. It's not 3-0 up where we can just relax and defend. It's not the same 1-0 where, it's like earlier in the season against Palace, for example, where, we're 1-0 up, but our defense is so good so notorious, that we can just, relax, right? We haven't been as good defensively. We literally just gave up a game going 1-0 up and not breaking them down too much and then going 1-1. We've done that repeatedly this season, where I feel like in a lot of these games we've dropped points because we've lacked that cutting edge. We are the better team by far. We showed it in the first 30 minutes. Just go and grab a second, and then then you can relax a little bit, right? Then you can relax a little bit. Go 2-0 up and then relax. So I was already starting to get furious within that first 15 minutes. But then what happens is that, Gabriel, good ball, Hincapié, good run. He looks a little wonky when he finishes it, but he finishes it, goes in. I didn't even think it was going to go in, honestly, because the way he looked like he was off balance. But good goal, right? Good ball, great ball. That's what we were waiting for, is someone to just play an intricate pass into someone that's making the run, or to someone that's in between the lines, right? Saka was having a great game when we were being more brave on the ball, but then when we weren't being so brave, he had to start dropping deep, and he was still playing good. But the thing is you're kind of weakening him now, because now you're not giving him the ball in between the lines, right? You're not giving him the ball in between the lines, so we're kind of not being as creative. But now Gabriel hits the ball, which finally we needed that. Good, 2-0. And now, to me, it should be game. 2-0, Molineux. It doesn't matter if it's Molineux, if it's at the Emirates, if it's on the moon, if it's on the earth, if it's on the sun. I don't care. It should be game. It should be game. It's 2-0. We're one of the best defenses. We're the best defense in the world, supposedly. We're one of the best defenses in the league, or in the league's history, supposedly. And I'm not gonna retract some of those statements. I still think we are the best defense in the world. The history thing, I think we need to win the league before we say anything like that. But we are definitely, I think, the best defense in the world. But we're not showing it. Why aren't we showing it? We can get to that later. But then they score, honestly, a good goal. Poor dealing with the set piece. Gabriel, I think, in my opinion, I would blame him for the goal, because it's a loss of concentration. It feels like, I think he heads it out for the corner, but there was no need to do that. Just communication, relax, be calm. And boom, whatever. They score, I think, I forgot his name, Hugo Bueno or something like that, their left back. Hugo Bueno, legacy game, by the way. He was so good against Madueke, so good against Saka. It is what it is. It happens. But, my goodness, it was, 2-1, and now I'm thinking in my head, okay, now you guys have dragged us back into it. You gave them an opportunity for the crowd to be lifted because you showed them that they can play for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. You gave them an opportunity to play. You gave them a set piece for no reason. And you decided to try to kill the game late. You didn't kill the game when you had the chances to, essentially. Now it's 2-1 instead of what should have been maybe 4-1 or 4-0 or 3-0, for example. Just based on quality and based on the way we were playing the first 30 minutes. And just our quality as well. This is first versus 20th, and one of the worst Premier League sides in history. If we're talking about points tally, if we're talking about competitiveness, they've shown that throughout the season they're competitive. But if we're talking about points tally, this is one of the worst teams in Premier League history, and we're trying to win the league title. How have you not, killed the game off by now? We have 4 competitions that we're trying to compete in. We have a game on Sunday at NLD, the game, and then the week after that we have Chelsea at home. Then 3 days later we'll have Brighton. We have to kill these games off early. But all that to say that, now it's 2-1, the game's blown up. And, from here it's kind of a blur because honestly I'm just getting angrier and angrier, right? The subs are made. Eze on for Madueke, which I didn't really like because when are we going to realize that, Madueke... when are we going to realize... First of all, Saka should have come off because this is his first game back starting. We need him for the future, and if you're going to make a sub in the attack, it should be Saka off, Eze on, and if you want to play him in the 10. But why aren't you subbing Martinelli off, who's had a much worse game, right? Why are you keeping him on for the whole game? Why are you still misprofiling Eze as a 10 when he's not a... With the way we play, when we're barely getting central progression or barely playing through the center, he doesn't impact the game that much. Why are you playing him as a 10 then? Play him as a left wing. Right, but this is concerns that we've had throughout the whole season in terms of misprofiling attackers a little bit. But yeah, those subs or whatever. Then you have to see Saka come off just 10 minutes later because of injury or whatever, and that's like it looks like it's just precaution. It looked like he was walking fine, but still irritating because now you have to take him off anyway, and now you're putting Trossard on the left, Martinelli on the right. Martinelli's had a bad game this whole game anyway, but you're keeping him on, or not a bad game, but just not a good game. I would say a bad game. But you're keeping him on because you kind of have to, because you subbed off Madueke instead for no reason when Madueke has been on good form and has been threatening even in this game, even though it wasn't his best game. I didn't like that sub. I didn't like the starting 11 in general anyway, but and I think that's a bigger concern, right? Because now we look at these last 30 minutes. They fight. Gabriel and Raya fight for the same ball for no reason. Either one of them gets that. It's literally not a big deal. Either of you guys. The same thing happened at Sunderland. 2-1. Someone whips in a cross. You guys don't communicate. You guys bundle into each other, and boom, now they score. Same exact thing happened at Sunderland. I think it was Sunderland. And now it's happened again. Communicate. What is going on? Why are you two not communicating with that? That should not be an issue, right? If they scored because it, like the first goal was a bang or something, okay, cool. If there was less fault individually, I could understand that. But this was directly because of you two numbskulls deciding, no, you guys are good players, but you know what I mean? In this game, brainlessly making a decision. Why? Just communicate, right? It's either Reyes or it's Gabriel's. Communicate. And Rhea, if you see Gabriel go for that, just let him hit it out. And Gabriel, if you hear Rhea calling for it, let him get it. What are we doing here, right? Why are we getting nervous for no reason against Wolves? Why are we time wasting against Wolves? All that to say that, it was a horrible, horrible game. And now I want to go into individual performances and kind of wrap back up to the beginning, which is before the game started, the starting lineup. right? I know the review is all over the place, but brother, my head's hot. I'm trying my hardest to keep this in a flow state, but it's very very hard considering what I've just watched. Um, the starting 11, Timber, we've been abusing this guy since his ACL, and you can see that his performances have dipped. Is that his fault? I wouldn't say so. This brother's been playing in, game out. You had to have rotated him, and okay, before you had White injury, and White's not been the most fan. He can't really be relied on because when you had to play him for 4 games in a row, or when you had to rotate Timber because of injury, then White gets injured, etc., etc. I understand, right? White isn't the most reliable, but you have Mosquera that we've seen that can play right back, and you're playing against Wolves. You're telling me Ben White can't start. You're telling me Mosquera cannot start. For real. Like, I don't know. This is just not true. I don't care what Timber gives you defensively that's better than everyone else. I don't care what the fact that White might be physically out of it a little bit. You have to rotate, right? Timber looked burned out. I saw him in the 40th minute gassed. Like, I saw him in the 30th or 40th minute gassed. You saw him like the whole second half since it went 2-1, misplacing passes. Like, continue. I can't even get off. He made so many mistakes. I can't even get them out of my mouth. Like, pause. Right? I can't even list them because of how many there were. Second half, this guy was horrible. Right? Poor on the ball, poor offensively. His crosses have been better, but you can tell that this guy had a niggle at the beginning of the game, and you could see that because he got his foot stomped on, and he was walking with a limp, and you would think, okay, you know what, take him off, be precautionary, but no, you want to keep him on, and then you want to keep him playing for the whole 90, even when this guy's misplacing passes, and you want to play him 90 and 90, 90 and 90 and 90 every Prem game. Of course he's gonna burn out a little bit. This guy just came off an ACL. And then you can make the same argument with Zubamendi, right? Zubamendi, another poor performance today, and it's just like Timber. It's starting to be a run of, poorer games, right? Games where he's been worse off. Not to say he's an amazing, and he hasn't been amazing this season, but you can see it. This guy's fallen off a little bit, and why? It's because besides besides like the free hit cup games, free hit meaning you can play whatever and we should win. Like you could Wigan, you should be able to play academy players and still win the game, right? Besides those games, we don't rotate Zubamendi, and it's why Norgard has shown consistently, game in game out, that he is reliable. You can play him even if you don't want to start Norgard, even if you don't want to start Rhea or start White. Rotate, brother. If it's 60th minute, it's 2-0. You can see them burning out. Take off Zubamendi. Put in a Norgard. Take off Timber. Right? So that I had a problem with that too. And then also on top of that, why are we consistently playing double pivots and then playing 3 runners? You cannot. I understand the double pivot if you have two ball to feet creators and 2 runners, or 3 ball to feet creators and 1 runner. But you cannot have 3 runners and then also have a double pivot, because you have 3 guys that want to just run and aren't really good receiving ball to feet. Madueke is, but he's not Saka level. I would still say he's a weird mix, a weird hybrid. And 2 pure runners. Gyökeres is a pure runner. His hold-up play has been getting better, but this is a pure runner. Martinelli is a pure runner. We've seen him on the touchline. He's not as good as when he's running, which is why he's good in UCL games, which is why he's good in cup games. And then you have the double pivot that are, their whole point is to control the game, essentially that's their point, right? Control the game, retain the ball, etc., etc. We could break it down further and further, but those are that's the main, or not the main point, but that's one of the main points there is control the game, right? Double pivot, Rice sweep up transitions, Zubamendi play on the ball like we did with Jorginho. But because you have 3 runners in front of them, it's not working, because then we don't have a creative spark that really plays the ball to these runners. Right? So it just doesn't work. Why are we going to Wolves away and playing with Zubamendi and Rice when you could play one or the other? Right? You could have played Rice and 2 10s. You could play Rice. You could play Odegaard when he was fit, and then you could play Eze, for example, right? Eze and Odegaard, it's not like they're physically, cooked. These guys are still able to compete physically. And you have Rice, who's an amazing defender. Sub on Zubimendi if needed, if you need to go and now control the game, or if that was a mistake, or if the game started and it's not flowing the way you think, you can make a change early because we've done that multiple times at halftime, right? But why are we going into games at home or away from home consistently with a double pivot? I'm trying, although yes, I've been on a rant for 20 minutes. I'm going to end it soon. I think what's concerning here is that these concerns have been there for across the whole season, but because of how we were playing, because of how we were doing, because of how everything was clicking and working, not results based, but also performances wise, Timber was better, Zubimendi was better, so that controlling the game aspect did work because they would barely get chances off against us, and we would just be, ticking and ticking and ticking. That's fine, but when you start to see that, we're losing the control aspect a little bit, first of all, rotate these guys so we can keep that if that's how you want to win the Premier League. And if that's not working, right, you're seeing these guys dip off, then brother, rotate to change the aspect of our play. The whole point of having depth is that we're supposed to be a Swiss Army knife. We can alternate, we can adjust, we can adapt. That's what we've been good at throughout 23-24. What we were so good at is adapting. Unfortunately, we messed up and we didn't win the league that season, but that's not a bottle. Right now, if we lose this league, I wouldn't consider it it's very, very close to being a bottle. 22-23, I have to say, is a bottle. We need to, I think, Arteta, I think you have to be more brave when it comes to these lineups, but also rotate a little bit more with your key players and be brave in that sense too. And stop playing 3 runners. That front lineup just doesn't work. And for the players, brother, you guys need to lock in. What is Martinelli doing? You did not play a full 90. Why are you, not running after the ball? Trossard, why are you coming on and being so sloppy? Timber, why are you so sloppy? And if you have a niggle or a knock that's hurting you, why aren't you signaling to come off? We have depth, you know that. Even if it's not White, it's Mosquera. Right? Gabriel, Rea, why are you guys not communicating? It just... little issues like that. Can we still win this league? Of course we can. We can lock in and start to win this league, and that can come with a big win against Spurs, for example, and then follow that up with a big win against Chelsea. Not even in terms of, it doesn't have to be a scoreline big win. It just has to be a big win in terms of performance. And that can reset our season kind of in terms of, in a good way. You can see City drop points, and that kind of locks us back in. But from will look like an amazing position where we were going to walk this league to now a position where it looks like we might be giving it away. Brother, there's 11 games left. Lock in and we can win this title, man. We're good enough. But that was a horrible performance.